Was something really interesting that you tried to pick apart similarities between the demographics that voted for Trump, for Brexit, and for Le Pen in Europe. Can you summarize those demographics for us?
Yeah, generally, if you have less formal education, you are more likely to have voted either for Brexit or for Trump or for Le Pen. It's if the farther away you are from formal university education, the more likely you are to vote for them, and the more postgraduate education you have, whether it's a law degree or a medical degree or a PhD, even more likely you are to oppose those candidates. So it goes in both directions, all up and down the educational spectrum.
And something else that you mentioned as well is that these outsider movements, quote unquote, only were able to win when they formed a coalition with someone on the inside. And you picked apart the example of Marine Le Pen in France and what she couldn't do. Can you explain that to us, please?
Yeah, that the outsiders are not a majority. They claim to act for the quote-unquote people, but they only talk for a segment of the people. So if they can't form a coalition with people who are part of the traditional, usually center-right, they lose. And that's what happened in France, is that Le Pen attracted the third of people who tended to be lower educated, who were really angry, but offended the people who were on the inside of the traditional center-right. Trump and the people who backed Leave did not do that. They formed a coalition so that they weren't simply talking about issues that animated the outsiders, but also issues that animated some of the disaffected insiders. In the Leave situation, it was talking about national sovereignty, which was not an issue that people who were lower socioeconomic class cared about. They cared about immigration, but the people who were higher socioeconomic class cared about that. They formed a coalition and they won.
And what lessons can we draw from the last 18 months of election, from the referendum, the vote in the US, and what's been happening in Europe that we should consider for the future?
I think what you need to do is listen and include, that you have, depending on the country, a tenth to a third of the people who are very angry and they feel that they're being left behind, they're being ignored, and that the national implicit compact that everyone in a nation rises in some degree together has been broken, and that if you continue to ignore them, they will continue to grow in strength, and they only need a serious crisis, political or economic, to propel them to a majority. But if you include them and listen to them and treat them as citizens, then you'll find the anger dissipates and you'll have a more politically stable country.